Hey everybody, this is Jeff B, and you have reached my channel. So, kicking back tonight in the fish room, I am just finished doing a ton of work today. We had removed the turtle pond, which was quite a lot of fun to dig up and then drain and then fill and then re-drain to get some of the funk out, and then try and harvest some of the animals that were in there. And that's mainly just guppies and some swordtails that you'll see in a minute. Once that was done, now I got it above ground, and I'm just going to use that as a above ground sort of like a big tub, basically. And I'm just going to raise some fish in there that are going to be okay in a kind of pond type environment without too much filtration. And that is going to be it. And also, I'll be raising some food in that tub. So turtle pond no more. Food slash random easy air bladder fish. It will become. And we've got a couple more little bits and pieces in the fish room, and you can kind of see them swimming around in the back of this tank. I took a cue from a buddy of mine and I'm going to start putting some little stuff in tanks. Not enough that I'm going to create a bloodbath, so to speak, but just to have a little more action in some of my tanks. I think that is something I can do without freaking out about. I don't have to be quite so strict about the way I keep my own tanks, and I just think it's a little more fun that way. So let's close up on these guys. What we're looking at is my geophagus that for some reason are acting shy. Interesting how the position of a tank can determine how fish act. Even if it's the same size tank, just the position of this tank is kind of changed how they are. I think they don't get that top view, so being eye to eye with me, I think changes their perspective enough. So they're still kind of getting used to this space. In here also I have a couple plecos, black ghost knifefish, and my old upside down catfish, African catfish. And so, yeah, and that's this tank, and I'm really digging it right now. It's got a super simple setup, set up for breeding and lots of hiding spaces, etc., etc. Little guppies in the background to keep the eye busy, just in case some of the creatures and scavengers aren't out, like they kind of aren't right now. Moving on to 120, I don't want to hang on one tank for too long. Sorry, that was a little shaky, huh, gang? Oh, the barbs get crazy when they think they're going to get fed, but you're not. Sorry, gang. So this is 120. 120 holds Peacekeeper, Black Spot Barbs, and the 3-spot Gourami, and the Argentea, little Mr. Mean Thing. But anyway, I really dig this tank right now. Sump is working beautiful. Some people really into sump, some people aren't. I don't care specifically. I don't have a sump hang-up, but I really am appreciating the way this one's working. For this tank. And that's just about it as far as this tank. This is pretty steady Eddie, this thing. Peacekeeper holds it down pretty hard, huh, buddy? Don't you? Hold it down pretty hard, don't you, buddy? Peacekeeper's a good fish. Peacekeeper probably coming up on 8 inches or so, 8-9 inches. So still kind of a young fish, but developing real good. Things have been going pretty well on a personal note. We are starting an aquarium society on the island at long last. There have been, of course, aquarium societies before that have now become defunct, and we're starting it back up again. Me and a core crew of mine, respected fish keepers and longtime fish breeders, kind of get together and trying to start ourselves an aquarium society. I'm hoping it will be very successful, although I do know it'll be a very long road, and it'll, as it has already done, will probably test a lot of my faculties and emotions. But so far, so good. We're going to have our first meeting November 11th, that's a Friday, in the early evening. So if any Maui viewers are out there, we'd love to have you spin on by. I'm going to have a couple lectures and visual presentations of an educational nature. Might have a live fish auction, as well as some really good food prepared by myself and some other local chefs. and you know, more importantly, a chance to meet your community. We have a pretty interesting fish keeping community here on the island that, you know, the more I dig into it, the more impressed I get. There are some people entrenched down in the corners and valleys of the island that do a pretty good job keeping their fish. So I'm pretty stoked to get to know them all over time. Do a little side shot of the 55 here. Really like this tank. Got some 24 karat gold white clouds in here, and I dig them. They're really not the kind of fish I would normally spend money on and get into, but they add a lot to this tank. I had one of my viewers, Ruben, once said this tank could really use some action in it, and at the time I didn't see it, but boy, right now it sure does. And these guys are pretty good. This is 12 of them, or at least it was 12 when I bought them. And I plan on getting some more, because really little tiny fish like that don't fill the tank out too much, but again, they add just that little bit of color and motion that I like. So super stoked. Planted 55 is doing pretty well. Moving right along. Let's go ahead and look at these guys. Try and make myself a little makeshift seat here. Sorry, while I'm wiggling, gang. Oh, look at the babies. Look at the babies. These are my Haitian cichlids, or black nasties, as they are often called. Coming along pretty well. This fish just can eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. Reminds me very much of purple, so that's pretty good because purple grew into a pretty big, healthy, kick-ass fish. So I'm really stoked on these guys right now. Their attitude is not horrible, although I can see it's going to turn into that, and I know that because it hasn't killed its roommate. My Cuban cichlids were not so fortunate. The male, or the larger one, took the smaller one just out. I tried to save it, but it just didn't do it. Got its butt kicked a little too hard, and not much I could have done about it, or at least not at my skill level. I don't know what to do. Tried to medicate it, and that happened. So that's the black nasties, and let's jump on up here. I got something I want to show you. Did a video of this tank the other night that I just wasn't too satisfied with, so I'm redoing it, kind of, sort of. But what I've done here is added some plastic fake grass to the bottom of the tank. It's kind of thing I normally would really just turn my back on and laugh at, but you know, I wanted to add something bright to this tank to counteract color. And add some color, and I think it's done amazingly. I mean, really, pull up on it, you can kind of tell it's fake, right? But man, from a distance, you just, I don't know, it doesn't register as being something so fake, and so that's good. Let me wipe my lens here. Sorry. And that's it. Leaving some space over here on this side. What I'm going to do is get some tall plastic valve or something, and then basically do a plastic planted tank. Which I think is funny. I'm getting a lot of reflection in this, and I apologize about that, but you can kind of get the point here. Got my silver dollars just kicking it, kind of avoiding the light. I did bring in some of the swordtails that I had in my pond. They're taking up space beautifully, and kind of jump back on that point I was trying to make earlier about just having some extra fish in your tank and not being so shy to put stuff in there. Turn off some lights here so I'm not being such a reflection guy. I know people, just drives people crazy. The very sensitive YouTube viewing community, it's a big deal for them. So at any rate, now you can get a little bit better idea of what's going on in this tank. I'm really digging it. And it's got more to go, but you can kind of see it, huh? See that tall grass wrapping along the back there? I think that's going to be really nice. And I won't have to worry about killing it because it's plastic. Yeah, baby. So anyway, that's what's going on here. I'm really digging this tank right now. Silver dollars can stash in the tall grass if they so desire. Let's get up on these swordtails and check these guys out. I was really surprised when I pulled the... Oh, one guppy got in. Whoops. I was so surprised when I pulled this swordtails out, because really when I started I just had a couple. Can you believe it? I just threw a couple swordtails in that pond, and now I've got like an army. A swordtail army, if you will. But I'm super stoked to have them in here. I think they'll show off real well against the green. There's a couple standard swordtails in here as well that are not quite as magnificently colored, but that's okay. And of course this troop of ding-dongs is always in here holding it down, being, you know, scared of stuff. That's their number one skill, terror. Fight or flight, baby. They got it in the genes. They got it in the genes. Get up on this guy. It's got some pretty cool little patterns on him. Not a very special swordtail, but he's mine. But he's my buddy. Big female in here kicking it. 10 minutes. Too long. Listen, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope your evening's going well. Hope your life is going well. If you are on the island of Maui on the 11th, please come on by. Hang out our Maui Fishkeeper Association. It's Maui's aquarium society. We look forward to having you and educating and laughing and feeding you and kicking back, Maui style. Alright, gang. One love. Have a good evening.